You are being hailed.
On screen. What?
Help! You have to help us, human. We have a warp core breach and the instability will cause our ship to explode in less than 15 minutes.
What am I supposed to do?
Rescue us and bring us back to Ferengi.
Why should I?
Because you are Starfleet.
Nah, I stole this. Listen, Ferengi. I may be able to help you, but you have something I want.
Anything. Name your price.
I want one of those thought orbs y'all have.
Out of the question. They are forbidden. I wouldn't even know where to find one.
Okay. While I let him think about that for a minute, let's dive into our next mission. So, I present to no one, hide in Q.
We start with Picard informing us they had nothing for Troi this episode and left her out completely. They're on their way to Sigma 3 for medical aid after a mining explosion there. But before the Enterprise can arrive, a familiar force field blocks all of space before them. Data immediately calls out that Q has returned. "Not now, damn it, Q," Picard whispers to himself as Q appears on the bridge. He appears as a glowing transparent sphere with 3 Cobra heads and J.J. Abrams lighting. Worf immediately jumps down to aim his TV remote gun at Q, and Yar, being the chief of security, follows after. Naturally. For real, her character sucks. I'm sorry, truth hurts. If I was this actress, I'd quit. Picard begs Q to let him finish his urgent rescue mission before whatever new tests the Q have come up with. Q says, "Nah, bro. Fuck your mission. We come first. But hey, we have a gift for you." He also just randomly fluffs himself. "If my magnificence blinds you, I'll change to something more familiar," before changing into Starfleet Admiral Q, at their service. I love this guy. They play the song, and when we come back, Q is being himself, and no one has time for it. Riker says he'd find the visit more amusing if people weren't suffering and dying, and Q gets offendedly bored by the comment. "Oh, your species is always suffering and dying," he dismisses. Picard throws a fit at Space God, and Q mocks him. These people are such drags, worried about seemingly inconsequential matters in the moment of the present. They should loosen up, like my man's Q here. But being eternal does help with the whole bigger picture thing. When Picard is finally done screaming, Q is like, "Are you done yet? I'm here to give y'all the next step of evolution." Riker says we don't have time for these games, and Q says, "Oh, again with the ideas, you guys. How about a deadly game?" He then teleports himself, Data, Geordi, Yar, Worf, and Riker off of the bridge, leaving Picard alone. He's not just alone. He can't contact anyone else on the ship either. To top it off, nothing seems to be working, and he's trapped on the bridge, so he just talks to himself. Meanwhile, the crew appear on a random planet. Q appears in some Napoleonic-era French martial garb and sips lemonade with Riker. Riker says, "What about my people?" And Q materializes different drinks in all their hands, suited to their tastes, which Worf just pours out while dead staring God. He's not very smart. "Drink not with thine enemy," the rigid Klingon code, Q points out. Explains a lot of how you defeated them. He twists. Q then cryptically lays out his game. If the crew win, they get the prize, and they lose if they all die in the game. Yar nags out, and Q says, "Penalty, bitch!" He zaps her away to what is essentially a penalty box, but there's only one, and only room for one. So if anybody else gets a penalty, no more Yar. Someone get a penalty. Worf, you know you want to lash out. Back with Picard, still talking to himself. He's visited by Yar, who's still technically in the box, but also on the bridge, and she cries about being in the box. Then she slips in the, "Oh, if you weren't the captain" line. Wow, okay. Even Q is disgusted by this consorting when he appears. But still, Q ends the penalty, the secret softy. Q tells Picard he's testing Riker and wants to give him Q powers. Picard says Riker will defeat Q, and Q asks if Picard wants to bet on it. The bet is stupid and meaningless. Picard's command against Q's perpetual non-interference, which we know neither is going to happen. Picard will keep his ship, and Q will keep fucking with them. Back on the planet, Worf scouts the War Games enemy, Napoleonic French soldiers with odd creature faces and pig noises. They have single-load muskets. Shoot them with the remotes. Back on the ship, Q and Picard quote Shakespeare at each other, and Picard says man is godly, and Q tosses a book at him in rage. Back again with the crew, they also note the disparity between weapons. The crew call their weapons phasers and test that they even still work, which causes Worf to come running. A warrior's reaction, he says. He calls the soldiers vicious animal things, and on cue, they appear. Q takes over Data's body to creep Riker out, and the creatures start shooting. Only they have photon rifles. Riker phases 2 creatures with less than 0 effort. This is not a credible threat. But 2 more are sneaking in on other crew members, and Q tells Riker to just send them back to the ship with the Q powers he was just given. Q sends Data to the front line and disappears. Riker sends everyone back to the ship with his new powers that I'm having a hard time understanding. He knows how to use his power immediately, which makes sense if it's Q power, which should come coupled with omnipotence. But if that's the case, why didn't he immediately know when given the power? He suddenly knew everything and didn't know it?
You are being hailed.
Someone must be running out of time. On screen.
Damn it, Harold, we told you not to practice javelin in engineering. You drive a hard bargain, human. We are prepared to pay 12 bars of gold press latinum for rescue.
It's either the orb or enjoy eternal oblivion, little dude. Think about it a little while longer.
Back with Picard, who realizes now that nothing worked and no one answered him because Q suspended time, which he just released before everyone came back thanks to Riker. Geordi and even Data have difficulty explaining what happened down there, but they carry on to the rescue mission, trusting that Riker being Q's target somehow means he's safe from a god creature who tried to annihilate the crew on their only previous contact. Riker, meanwhile, is laughing his ass off at Q. He's so fucking pious. Q is dumbfounded that Riker is looking the gift horse in the mouth. Q also explains he's only given Riker a limited amount of power. He ain't ready for the real juice yet. But the Q want to incorporate Riker into the continuum and use him as an ambassador to humankind, so to speak. Riker continues his ignorant petulance, and Q says fine, have it your way, bringing the crew back down, but this time with Picard and Wesley. The animals are coming. The crew don't have their weapons this time, and there's a kid in mortal danger for stakes. Worf screams, charges, and gets bayoneted. Wesley gets run through from behind, and Riker screams, "No! Damn it to hell!" and throws up a QNet force field registered trademark. He then takes everyone back to the ship and stands before Picard in the most pompous and ridiculous manner. Riker says, "I don't know, man. I kinda like it." And Picard says, No, you have to refuse it, and don't use it anymore. The temptation, blah blah blah, I'm jealous. But Riker gives his word he won't use the power, and they arrive at the mining disaster. The crew beam down to render aid and find all of 4 people. Well, they also find a dead little girl and beg Riker to bring her back, but he refuses over his vow. Sorry, little girl, enjoy being dead. This only serves to infuriate Riker. He blames the captain for the girl's death, and the power gets to his head. He commands the captain and walks away from him. Riker walks around more and more arrogantly, and even calls his own bridge meeting. Riker says, "Hey guys, I know I came up, but I ain't changed." But no one is buying. Picard says, "Well, power corrupts." To which Riker responds, "You don't think I've thought of that, Jean-Luc?" And Picard points out the comfortable familiarity. The crew argue with Riker, who seems corrupted, when Q comes in as some medieval man of God. Q spins, "Are these really your friends, brother?" He says they are obstructing Riker from the greatest journey taken by a human. Q tells Riker that he should give each of his friends a special gift with his power, and the idea pleases Riker. Riker leads, "Shall I guess your dreams?" And Dr. Crusher is out. She's done, bruh, and she's taken Wesley with her. But before she can leave, though, Riker ages Wesley by 10 years. Data refuses his gift before Riker can give it, so Riker gives sight to Geordi, who makes sure to drink it in for a second before returning the gift. Riker gives Worf a Klingon woman. At least I think that's what that is. Worf gets a boner and even backhands the potential mate. So for him, I think that means it's going well. But then Worf says, "No! I ain't about that life no more, and I have no place in my life for sex right now." Okay, G. Sounds lame, but whatever. Even Space God is like, is he serious? Wesley also returns his gift, leaving Riker with no takers. Riker says he feels like an idiot, and Picard says, so he should. Q rage quits, or is dragged away. It's hard to tell. The crew then gather themselves and carry on. As for the episode, it was okay. Real time. Hide and Q, originally airing on November 23, 1987, and written by C.J. Holland and Gene Roddenberry, explores themes of human nature, temptation, and the consequences of unchecked power. The episode explores the Q Continuum, a powerful and enigmatic group introduced in the pilot episode, while delving into John Delancey's Q and his interactions with the crew of the Enterprise. The casting of John Delancey as Q was pivotal, as his charismatic portrayal became iconic in the Star Trek franchise. Delancey's chemistry with the main cast, particularly Patrick Stewart, added depth and saved the character from the cheese bin, as the casting of actors who could properly convey the moral and ethical dilemmas faced by the characters was crucial to the success of the narrative and show as a whole. The production team faced the familiar Season 1 challenges of no time or money. Even still, this episode featured elaborate sets, including a semi-recreation of the Napoleonic era for Q's trial. Additionally, the special effects, such as the manifestation of Riker's powers granted by Q, demanded innovative approaches to achieve a visually striking result within the constraints of television production in the late 1980s. At its core, Hide and Q is an exploration of human nature. The story challenges the crew members with the offer of godlike powers and examines how they grapple with the ethical implications. The character of Riker, in particular, is thrust into a position of immense authority, leading to internal and external conflicts. This exploration of power dynamics and morality will be a recurring theme in Star Trek, and they tried to handle it with thoughtfulness in this episode. Hide and Q has its fans, but is a middle-of-the-road episode for me, often remembered for its thought-provoking narrative and character development, and sometimes for the cheap sets and animal soldiers.
All right, let's see if they're still alive. Computer, hail the Ferengi. So what's it gonna be? You probably have seconds left to give a shit anyways.
All right. Beam us over and I'll give you my personal orb upon arrival to Ferenginar.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Admiral Bitchy Pants will never see this coming.
Warning, you are entering into Cardassian Empire space.
Ah, fuck Kim and Chloe.
So the shuttlecraft has just crossed our Imperial borders.
Is this guy stupidly insane or insanely stupid?